So imagine for a second that it's the year 2026.
Right, the 250th anniversary of the United States.
Exactly. But, instead of just standing in a crowded park somewhere watching like a 15-minute fireworks display, a high schooler in your exact ZIP code has just used artificial intelligence to automate a local manufacturing plant.
Wow.
Yeah, or another local student just patented a completely new species of medicinal plant that they found in the unpopulated woods, just a few miles from your house.
That is a very different kind of celebration.
It really is. And the community is gathering to celebrate these, like tangible, highly localized achievements. So today, for this deep dive, we are looking at a blueprint that wants to make that hyper-productive reality the standard for the entire country.
Yeah, we are dissecting a massive and honestly a structurally profound document from an organization called DocuPlay. The blueprint is officially titled Report on its Celebrations of the USA 250th Anniversary. And to really understand this text, we have to fundamentally discard our preconceived notions of, what a national celebration actually looks like. The mission outlined in this text is to transform an anniversary into a highly constructive, interconnected engine.
Okay.
One that drives localized education, hyper-targeted economic growth, and an unprecedented wave of environmental discovery.
Let's unpack this because, reading through this blueprint, it feels way less like a party planner's itinerary
Yeah.
and much more like the architecture for a nationwide, localized industrial and scientific renaissance.
Exactly. They are treating the 250th anniversary as like a hard launch for the next 2.5 centuries of American prosperity.
I love that framing.
Yeah.
But to truly grasp how they intend to execute a project of this massive nationwide scale, we actually have to start our analysis at the absolute micro level.
Which brings us to the foundation of the entire initiative, and that is the gamification of civic knowledge.
Right.
The report outlines the creation of what it calls docu-leagues, or interchangeably, the Knowledge Olympics.
Knowledge Olympics, okay.
Yeah, the core philosophy here is that before a community can build its future, its citizens must have an intimate, statistically accurate understanding of their present reality.
So mechanically speaking, the DocuLeads operate as a digital matching game, right?
Yeah, designed to be played on mobile devices utilizing 5G networks.
And the basic structural units of these games are called DocuPieces.
Correct.
So picture your smartphone screen divided into columns. In the first column, you might be presented with a piece of information, maybe a photograph of a local landmark, the name of a historical figure, or perhaps a sentence detailing a demographic statistic with a crucial word or number missing.
Right, it gives you a prompt.
Exactly. And the second column provides a randomized list of possible answers. The player's objective is to accurately match the correct data point to the prompt in the first column.
The interface might sound simple, but, the simplicity is a highly intentional delivery mechanism. The underlying data populating these docu-pieces is where the paradigm shift really occurs.
Because it isn't just random trivia.
No, not at all. One of the primary foundational games outlined in the text is the DocuCensus ACS. And ACS stands for the American Community Survey.
Right.
This specific docu-league forces the player to engage with the statistical reality of their own environment by structuring the game across 5 distinct administrative levels.
Let's list those out because those 5 levels are country, state, county, place, which means your specific town, village, or municipality. And finally, the most granular level, your specific ZIP code.
Yes.
So as a player, you aren't just memorizing abstract national statistics. You are matching socioeconomic and demographic data specifically regarding the exact neighborhood you live in. You're essentially gamifying your own backyard.
And to understand the driving force behind this localization, we need to look really closely at the project's stated motto for the DocuCensus game. The document explicitly and repeatedly uses the phrase, "These data may be advices for enterprises."
That phrasing is so critical. These data may be advices for enterprises.
Yeah.
If I'm translating that correctly, it means that statistical data isn't just trivia. It is a literal roadmap for identifying localized business opportunities.
That is the core economic theory of the whole project. By having citizens deeply understand the socioeconomic reality of their specific ZIP code and county, pulling data directly from census.gov regarding demographic shifts, median income levels, educational attainment, or housing statistics, DocuPlay intends to fundamentally foster the creation of SMEs, or small and mid-sized enterprises.
Let's ground that in a hypothetical example just to make sure we really understand the mechanism here.
Okay.
Say I'm playing the DocuCensus game for my ZIP code, And through the repetition of matching this data, I suddenly realized that the demographic data shows a massive 50% increase in dual-income households with children under the age of 5 over the last 3 years.
Right.
But the matching data for commercial zoning shows 0 new childcare facilities.
Ah, I see where you're going.
The game has literally just handed me a statistically verified business plan.
Exactly. You've just identified a localized market inefficiency using gamified census data.
It's brilliant.
It really is. That statistical awareness directly translates into a high probability business opportunity. You open the childcare facility, and by doing so, you create local jobs, you fill a community need, and you stimulate the microeconomy of your ZIP code. The game is essentially training every citizen to look at their neighborhood through the lens of an economic analyst.
And I need to pause here for a second to mention something directly from our source text regarding the broader cultural and, well, the political context driving these specific games.
Right, we should cover that.
The source document explicitly ties the success of this local economic knowledge and SME creation to what it calls the Mangier project.
Yeah, that's in there.
Furthermore, the text outlines another specific docu-league titled Glorious Events and Achievements of the USA. The text states, this historical game is designed to counter what the author refers to as woke ideology, which the document characterizes as an ideology focused on digging into the bad aspects of history.
Right.
The stated objective of this specific docu-league is to instead focus entirely on historical achievements and contributions to civilization. And we are simply reporting the framework as it exists in the source text, strictly to ensure you have a complete picture of the stated objectives driving the design of this curriculum.
Absolutely. And looking at the structural design itself, the mechanism of using gamification for civic engagement is highly potent.
Oh, for sure.
They're utilizing the dopamine loops, typically associated with mobile gaming, to incentivize the memorization of local statistical and historical realities.
So conceptually, it operates almost like a hyper-local educational Pokemon Go.
That's a great analogy, actually.
Right. But instead of walking around a park trying to capture a fictional digital creature, you are conceptually capturing and retaining hard statistical facts about the median income of your street or historical milestones about the founding of your county.
Exactly. The augmented reality isn't visual in this case, it's informational. When you walk down Main Street, the game ensures you know exactly how many businesses opened or closed there in the last fiscal year, or, who the early travelers were that founded the state.
It builds a baseline of factual, localized reality.
It does, and the text mentions a comprehensive suite of these historical docu-leagues beyond just the census data.
Yeah, I saw that.
There is a league focused on American fights, which utilizes structured data from Wikipedia to cover the struggles for independence through the 20th century. Another focuses on early voyages and exploration.
Wow.
There is one built entirely around historical images preserved in the Library of Congress, and even one cataloging American celebrities from 1776 through the early 20th century.
There's also a highly specific league called the Docu-Bible. The report details 2 models of play for this, actually.
Oh, right, the Docu-Bible.
Yeah. In the first model, the player is given a portion of a biblical verse and must complete it. In the second model, the player is presented with a complete verse and must correctly match it to its corresponding book within the Bible.
Okay.
And the stated goal here is to promote the reading and knowledge of the text, utilizing original data files that players can download directly from DocuPlay's educational courses.
And, the scope expands internationally as well. They detail a docu-league focused on the Anglosphere, where players compare socioeconomic and demographic data across the Five Eyes countries.
That's the US, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, right?
Exactly. And they use the CIA World Factbook as the source data for that one. The sheer volume of information being gamified is staggering.
It is. But what ensures the integrity of this massive system is that players cannot simply guess their way to the top of the leaderboards.
Right, you can't just spam the buttons.
No. To improve their scores, unlock higher levels, and rise in the local ZIP code rankings, players are required to actively download, read, and study the original source files. The game forces engagement with primary source material.
Think about the sociological implications of this for a moment. Imagine a scenario where you attend a local town hall meeting regarding, say, zoning laws.
Okay.
In a traditional setting, you might have a lot of emotional arguments based on anecdotal observation. Well, in this DocuPlay framework, half the room has been actively playing the DocuCensus League for their ZIP code.
Oh, wow.
They all know the exact up-to-date housing statistics, the median income, and the population density metrics off the top of their heads.
That shared baseline of factual data completely alters the nature of civic discourse. I mean, it forces conversations to be grounded in structural reality rather than just perception.
It creates a highly informed citizenry. However, constructing and maintaining a nationwide digital infrastructure capable of hosting millions of concurrent users, processing 5G matches, updating massive databases from USA.gov, and providing actual rewards for the top players in 40,000 different ZIP codes that requires an astronomical level of funding.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about. If these docu-leagues are essentially operating as the Knowledge Olympics, then like any massive sporting event, they require sponsors.
Exactly.
And if this project is focused on localized economic growth, the funding model can't just rely on massive federal grants. It has to integrate with the local business ecosystem.
So how does a local hardware store or a regional manufacturing plant interact with a digital matching game?
Well, this brings us to the corporate angle. The genius of the funding model outlined in the report lies in a concept the AI analysis within the text specifically highlights, and that is granularity. Let's break down granularity in this context because, traditional advertising usually operates on a macro scale. A corporation buys a television ad that broadcasts to an entire state or country, regardless of whether 90% of the viewers actually need their product.
Exactly. Traditional marketing suffers from massive inefficiency. But because the DocuCensus ACS game operates across those 5 administrative levels, we're looking at roughly 70,000 distinct place names across the country.
And that includes 40,000 individual ZIP codes.
Yes. So a company isn't forced to buy an untargeted, exorbitant national campaign. They can hyper-target their sponsorship down to the exact neighborhood they operate in.
So a local hardware store in ZIP code 44256 doesn't care about reaching players 3 states over. Through DocuPlay, they can choose to sponsor the specific DocuPieces, the individual game units, exclusively within their own ZIP code.
Right. And furthermore, they can target by subject matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That hardware store can choose to sponsor only the DocuPieces that deal with local housing statistics, construction demographics, or industrial growth.
That level of targeting is incredibly efficient for small and mid-sized enterprises. And it goes beyond just advertising a product, doesn't it?
It does. The text emphasizes that companies utilize this sponsorship to significantly increase their corporate prestige. By attaching their logo to these educational initiatives, a company is publicly associating its brand with civic duty, verifiable education, and the preservation of national heritage.
Right.
Sponsoring the local historical docu-leagues, or the docu-Bible game, elevates the company from a mere commercial entity to a pillar of community education.
And from an accounting perspective, DocuPlay provides an incredibly rigorous framework for this sponsorship. They offer what the text refers to as a metrics advantage.
The metrics are key.
Yeah. Utilizing artificial intelligence, the platform tracks the exact number of milliseconds a sponsor's logo is visible on the screen, while a user is actively engaged with a DocuPiece.
So there's no estimating impressions or guessing how many people looked at a billboard?
None of that. The AI guarantees a perfectly transparent return on investment. The business is built precisely for the engaged attention of a local citizen.
The transparency removes the friction from corporate sponsorship. But, advertising is only the shallow end of the corporate integration.
Okay, what's the deep end?
The true structural shift occurs with the formation of what the document calls a TEC, T-E-C.
Right, the trifaceted educational consortia. The word consortia implies a deeply intertwined alliance. How does a TEC function on a local level?
A TEC is a formalized, localized alliance between 3 distinct entities that all share the exact same ZIP code.
Okay, what are the 3?
The first entity is DocuPlay, which provides the digital platform, the games, and the educational course materials. The second entity is a local edu center. This could be a high school, a community college, a vocational school, or even a private training facility.
And the third entity is the local company.
Correct. The TEC creates a closed-loop system of education and industrial application. The local company sponsors specific courses within the edu center that are directly relevant to their industry.
Let me see if I have the practical application of this right. Let's say there is a regional logistics and shipping company.
Okay.
They form a TEC with the local community college and DocuPlay. The logistics company sponsors DocuPlay courses specifically focused on supply chain management, industrial safety, and transportation statistics.
Yes. And by doing so, the company achieves several massive objectives simultaneously. First, they can use these sponsored courses to update the training of their own existing employees, ensuring their workforce is operating on the most current governmental and industrial standards.
But it's also a highly advanced recruitment tool, isn't it?
Oh, it is the ultimate hiring pipeline.
Wow.
The company isn't just looking at blind resumes anymore. They have access to the DocuLeague rankings and the course evaluations. They can look at the data from their local ZIP code and say, who is the absolute highest rated student in supply chain analytics in our tech?
And they can identify the top talent while the student is still learning and recruit them directly.
Exactly.
I noticed an incredible detail in the text regarding the output of these students. The document explicitly states that companies forming these techs might even profit from patents or direct innovations generated by the students during their coursework.
That's a huge point.
The students aren't just taking multiple choice tests, they are actively engaging in projects that can be commercialized by the sponsoring company.
The tech framework fundamentally redefines corporate sponsorship. It transitions from a marketing expense into a localized workforce development pipeline and a decentralized research and development department.
That's wild.
A company is investing in its own future talent pool, fostering innovation within its own ZIP code, and creating a highly symbiotic relationship with the local educational infrastructure.
But, if these local businesses and corporations are investing so heavily in these techs, they must have absolute faith in the rigor of the curriculum. I mean, a logistics firm isn't going to hire a student just because they were good at a digital matching game.
Right.
There has to be profound academic substance driving this. What exactly is the curriculum that justifies a company treating a local student as an R&D asset?
That brings us to the core of the academic framework. Segment 3, the massive Edo Industry Project. The scale of this educational initiative is difficult to overstate. The text indicates that Project 1, Edo Industry, encompasses tens of thousands of courses.
Tens of thousands. To build tens of thousands of courses, you need an ocean of reliable data.
You do.
DocuPlay didn't just invent this curriculum from scratch or rely on textbook publishers. The report outlines that they have populated these courses by legally downloading millions of files directly from highly reliable governmental portals.
Yeah.
We are talking about primary source data from USA.gov, the European Union's Europa.eu, and other verified institutional databases. They utilize Creative Commons licensing and navigate specific civil litigation codes to ensure all copyright clearances are meticulously handled.
And the philosophical foundation of Edo Industry is explicitly aimed at reindustrialization. They are not primarily focused on abstract liberal arts. The document states that 4,600 of these courses are specifically based on the Standard Industrial Classification, or SIC.
For those who might not be familiar with it, the SIC is a system developed by the government to classify specific areas of industry. It covers everything from agricultural production and mining to manufacturing and public administration.
Right.
So by basing the courses on the SIC, DocuPlay is ensuring that the curriculum is perfectly aligned with the hard realities of the actual economic landscape.
It ensures that what the student learns is directly applicable to the industrial sectors operating in their ZIP code. A student enrolls in these courses, perhaps paying independently, or perhaps their enrollment is subsidized by their employer or the local Edu center within their tech.
How does this tie back into the games we discussed earlier? Because there seems to be a continuous loop between studying and playing.
There is a loop, definitely. The text details how students improve their academic learning through a highly incentivized feedback loop. The original source files downloaded for the courses are the exact same data points used in the local DocuLeagues.
Ah, I see.
If a student wants to improve their ranking in the local Knowledge Olympics, which, as we established, makes them highly visible to local corporate recruiters, they must deeply study the course materials. The gamification drives the academic rigor.
And the culmination of this studying isn't just a letter grade on a piece of paper. At the end of a semester, a student can request an evaluation of their performance across the course. But this isn't graded by a fatigued teaching assistant.
No, it's not.
The evaluation is conducted entirely by artificial intelligence.
For a fee of $50, the AI processes the student's entire interaction with the course data, their performance in the applied exercises, and their mastery of the source files. The AI then generates a highly comprehensive, verified list of specific competencies.
A $50 AI Verify resume builder.
Basically.
That is incredibly disruptive to traditional education models. It proves to a potential employer in the tech that you actually possess the functional knowledge of the material verified by an impartial system, rather than just proving you paid tuition and sat in a lecture hall for 4 years.
It is entirely disruptive, but the integration of artificial intelligence within ADO industry goes vastly beyond automated grading.
Okay, what else does it do?
The text details a suite of specific AI agents designed to not only assist the student in learning, but to actively automate activities and support local businesses.
This is where the blueprint shifts from an educational platform into what almost looks like an industrial consulting tool. Let's walk through the AI agents mentioned in the text, starting with Generat AI.
Okay. Generat AI functions as the ultimate analytical interface between the student and the massive governmental data files. It has the capacity to ingest and summarize thousands of pages of complex PDF files from USA.gov.
The report mentions that it provides personalized chat interfaces, allowing the student to interrogate the source material.
Yes.
A student can ask the AI highly specific qualitative questions. For example, they can ask, what economic benefits can the study of this specific industrial course bring to my county? Or conversely, what are the most negative aspects or risks associated with this industry?
And the AI doesn't just give an opinion, right? It pulls exact quotes and data sets from the governmental files to construct its answer.
Generative AI really democratizes access to complex regulatory and industrial information. But the next agent, agentic AI, represents a profound paradigm shift in how we view the role of a student.
It really does. Agentic AI helps students analyze the theoretical activities described in the course text and break them down into practical, actionable steps.
The document uses a highly specific example here, automating pea production.
Right, the P production.
I want to spend some time on this because it illustrates the core mechanics of how Edo industry interacts with the real world. How does reading a government document about agriculture translate into automating a farm?
Let's trace the mechanism. A student in a rural tech is studying an agricultural course based on the SAC. They use agentic AI to pull real-time statistics on pea production.
Okay.
The AI lists the countries involved, analyzes the optimal soil conditions, and details the current farming technologies.
That's standard research. Where does the automation happen?
Well, the student then prompts agentic AI to transition from analysis to execution.
Wait, really?
Yeah. Based on the data, the AI helps the student program an actual functional software agent designed to automate a specific aspect of that agricultural business. Perhaps an IoT script that automates the irrigation system based on real-time soil moisture sensors, or a logistical script that optimizes the delivery routes for the harvested peas.
So the student's using natural language to prompt the AI to write industrial code.
Exactly. And the AI goes a step further. It automatically generates a comprehensive video guide showing the local farming company exactly how to install and implement this new automated software agent into their existing systems.
I really need to highlight what is happening here because it is staggering.
It is.
We are fundamentally moving away from the traditional read, memorize, and regurgitate model of education. This is a read, analyze, generate code, and immediately automate a business process model.
Yes.
In this framework, the line between student and industrial systems consultant is completely erased.
DocuPlay is intentionally dismantling that barrier. Learning is defined by doing. If you are studying agricultural technology, your homework assignment isn't to write an essay about tractors. Your homework is to literally generate an automation tool that increases the profit margin of the farm operating in your ZIP code.
And the physical realization of this is handled by the third agent mentioned, Manufacture AI. Where Agentic AI handles the software and logistical automation, Manufacture AI focuses entirely on physical, tangible production.
Right. The text notes that Manufacture AI assists the student in designing physical utensils and tools required for cultivation or manufacturing.
Good.
It analyzes the environmental constraints, cross-references local legislation on farming equipment, and then helps the student program 3D printers to physically manufacture the tool.
The document even mentions designing custom avatars to operate those 3D printers, essentially allowing the student to orchestrate an entire automated manufacturing cell from their laptop.
So if we look at the complete life cycle, a student in a rural ZIP code enrolls in an Edo industry course. They use Generata AI to understand the governmental regulations regarding local agriculture. They use agentic AI to build efficiency software for crop management. They use manufacture AI to 3D print a newly optimized harvesting tool. And through the Tech Alliance, they implement all of this directly into a local business, potentially retaining the patent for the tool they designed.
It is a radical, decentralized engine for industrial innovation. And it's entirely powered by local citizens leveraging AI against governmental data.
Yeah.
But while Edo Industry is focused heavily on the digital, the industrial, and the mechanical, DocuPlay has a second major project that takes this army of students entirely out of the digital classroom. It physically places them into the natural world.
Which brings us to Project 2,
Right.
the Biodiversity Project. We are transitioning from the industrial to the biological. If Edo Industry is about optimizing the economy we have, biodiversity is about discovering the raw assets to build the economy of the future. It is, without exaggeration, a citizen science moonshot.
To understand why this project is necessary, we have to frame the scientific problem that DocuPlay is attempting to solve, because the statistics cited in the text are frankly alarming.
They are.
According to a scientific report referenced in the blueprint, if humanity relies on traditional academic and institutional methods to catalog the remaining unknown species of plants, animals, and minerals on Earth, the timeline is completely unworkable.
The report calculates that using current methods, it would take roughly 1,200 years to catalog the unknown species.
1,200 years.
Yes. It would require an army of 303,000 professional taxonomists working continuously, and it would cost approximately $364 billion.
It's an insurmountable bottleneck.
Hmm.
The traditional model, a lone postdoctoral scientist trekking into a rainforest, taking physical samples, shipping them back to a university lab, and spending months peer-reviewing the findings, it simply cannot scale to meet the reality of global biodiversity.
No, it can't.
At that pace, ecosystems are destroyed before we even know what assets they contained.
So DocuPlay's proposed solution to a 1,200-year problem relies on two massive leverage points: the mass mobilization of human observation via the internet and the processing power of artificial intelligence.
Right.
They intend to radically shrink that timeline by turning everyday citizens into an organized swarm of field researchers.
The geographic scope of this is incredibly specific. Programs 2, 3, 8, 9, and 10 of the DocuPlay blueprint are entirely focused on this biodiversity initiative. They are targeting the roughly 2 million unpopulated place names located within the United States.
2 million distinct geographic locations categorized by county that currently have zero human population. We are talking about vast tracts of empty woods, deserts, mountain ranges, and swamplands.
And the operational plan is to ask state and county authorities to coordinate with the local EDU centers, the exact same schools operating within the text we just discussed.
Yes.
They will send groups of students out of the classroom and directly into these unpopulated areas located near their campuses. These students effectively become the localized field researchers.
And this isn't just a nature walk. The document outlines a highly structured, 6-phase progression that takes a biological discovery from the initial sighting all the way through to commercialization. The integration of hard science and local economic development here is incredibly tight.
Let's walk through these 6 phases in detail. How does a 19-year-old student wandering through the woods in a rural county become a biological pioneer?
Well, phase 1 is research. These local student field researchers are deployed into the unpopulated areas with a specific mandate: look for potentially undiscovered or uncatalogued plant, animal, and mineral species.
Okay, and when they find something?
When they spot something, they use their smartphones to take high-resolution photographs. The technology automatically embeds the exact GPS coordinates, the altitude, the weather conditions, and the timestamp into the metadata of the image. This data packet is then instantly uploaded to the centralized DocuPlay database.
Once that data packet hits the server, we move to phase 2, which is cataloging. This is where the AI and the broader network of students get to work.
Remember those tens of thousands of courses in Edo Industry?
Yes.
Specific courses are dedicated to taxonomy. Course 8 focuses on animals, Course 9 on plants, and Course 10 on minerals.
Right.
The students enrolled in these specific courses act as the taxonomists. They use AI-driven image recognition technologies to examine the samples uploaded by the field researchers. Wow. The AI instantly cross-references the image against every known global taxonomic database to verify if the species is, in fact, genuinely new to science.
So the kid in the woods acts as the sensory input. The AI provides the computational cross-referencing, and the taxonomy student verifies the output. If the AI confirms the bug or the plant is undocumented, what happens in Phase 3?
Phase 3 is analysis. Simply discovering a new species is academically interesting, but DocuPlay's focus is always on practical utility.
Of course.
The verified species must be analyzed to determine if it holds any nutritional value, industrial application, or medicinal properties. Does this new plant synthesize a chemical compound that could be used as a natural pesticide or a new antibiotic?
Once utility is proven, we enter Phase 4, which is production.
Right. If the plant has medicinal value, it must be scaled. Phase 4 involves cultivating the newly discovered plants in controlled agricultural environments, or, in the case of aquatic discoveries, breeding them in specialized fish farms.
Which naturally brings up Phase 5 infrastructure. And I have to push back on the text here because the claims become incredibly grand.
Okay, how so?
The document states that Phase 5 involves building hydroelectric or hydrosolar plants to provide the energy and water resources necessary for these new farms. Are we seriously suggesting that a group of high school and college students are going to pour concrete and construct multinational-level hydroelectric dams?
It's a vital question because taking the text completely literally at the student level stretches credulity. The key to understanding Phase 5 is remembering the Tech Alliance.
Ah, right, the companies.
The students aren't physically building the dams with shovels.
Yeah.
They are utilizing agentic AI and manufacturer AI to draft the architectural blueprints, analyze the topographical data, and simulate the environmental impact of a hydrosolar plant.
Okay, that makes vastly more sense.
Yeah, they present these AI-verified engineering plans to the corporate partners within their tech, the local construction firms and energy companies. The corporate partners, incentivized by the potential profits of the discovery, provide the actual capital and heavy infrastructure to execute the student design plans. The students are the architects, but the tech provides the muscle.
It's a localized public-private partnership driven by student research, which leads us to the final payoff, Phase 6 commercialization.
This is where the economic loop closes. Once the infrastructure is built and the species is in production, the tech secures the intellectual property patents for the new species and its derived products.
Right.
They then create franchises, establishing local factories for processing, setting up distribution networks, and marketing the products globally.
I want you to really internalize the scale of what is happening here. We are talking about local citizens actively discovering, analyzing, engineering the infrastructure for, and ultimately patenting new biological assets for their own county. They are not reading about biology in a textbook, they are actively bioprospecting. If a student in a financially depressed rural county finds a plant in the woods that yields a new, highly effective medicinal compound, the patent for that compound could theoretically bring immense generational wealth to their specific local tech.
It completely reframes the concept of environmental conservation. It shifts the narrative from merely protecting nature to deeply understanding it and integrating its undiscovered assets into the local economic engine.
And artificial intelligence acts as the great accelerator at every single phase, from the initial image recognition in the woods to drafting the final patent applications for commercialization.
Exactly.
So we have a society where citizens are gamifying their local census data to launch small businesses. We have students programming AI agents to automate the factories in their ZIP codes.
Yeah.
We have teenagers bioprospecting in the wilderness to discover and patent new species. It is a staggering amount of highly localized learning, innovation, and civic productivity.
It's huge.
Which brings us to the ultimate question regarding the blueprint. How do you celebrate this? How does an infrastructure of this magnitude tie back into the actual 250th anniversary of the United States?
That leads us directly to the culminating events of the entire DocuPlay framework, the festivals. The anniversary isn't ignored. It is utilized as the ultimate showcase for all this localized data.
The report outlines two primary types of festivals to commemorate the 250th. Phase B1, which operates entirely online, and Phase B2, which represents the offline, in-person celebrations.
Right.
The stated design of these festivals is to unite the community, showcase national history, and fundamentally celebrate all the hard data that citizens have been absorbing through the DocuLeagues and ADO industry courses.
The defining characteristic of these festivals is that passive observation is entirely rejected. Citizens do not just sit back in lawn chairs and watch a parade go by.
No.
Active creative participation is the core mechanic used to strengthen national heritage. Citizens register on the platform as independent performers.
The musical element outlined here is fascinating. The text explains that DocuPlay utilizes AI to generate musical settings and interpretations of the textual data.
Hmm.
The AI essentially writes songs based on the curriculum.
Right.
Citizens then take these AI-generated tracks, record their own vocal or instrumental performances of the songs, and upload them to the B1 online festival platform. The entire community then votes on the best local performances.
And it is crucial to note that the themes of these festivals are deeply intertwined with the educational content. They are not singing generic pop music.
Let's detail the specific thematic festivals the text outlines. First, there is the American Fights Festival.
Okay.
This features 65 highly specific historical poems based on the United States struggles for independence, stretching all the way through the conflicts of the 20th century. There's a festival dedicated entirely to the early voyages and explorations that mapped the continent.
Wow.
There's even a festival based on interpreting the historical images preserved in the Library of Congress.
The most unique integration, however, occurs when they tie the localized statistical data directly into the music. The report details the ACS Census festivals.
Right.
I want you to conceptualize this. There will be songs where the lyrics are literally constructed from the socioeconomic and demographic data of specific cities.
Like a country music song about the median household income and zoning laws of Pasadena.
Precisely. And the recurring motto we discussed earlier, "These data may be advices for enterprises," is actually written into the songs as a recurring verse or chorus.
It's brilliantly subversive.
Yeah.
You are tapping your foot to a catchy melody, and without realizing it, you are memorizing the statistical pathways to creating a small business.
It's true.
The text also outlines the State Symbols Festival. Every single state will have an anthem created by AI that specifically honors its official state animal, plant, mineral, and social symbols.
This is where the digital festival platform physically manifests in the real world through what DocuPlay terms deca-functional postcards.
Deca-functional, meaning they possess 10 distinct functions. These are absolutely not the cheap, glossy souvenirs you buy at a roadside gas station.
No, these postcards are highly engineered pieces of physical media. A single postcard includes the printed lyrics of the specific state or census song, a detailed illustration, and a prominent QR code.
Okay.
When a citizen scans the QR code with their mobile device, it instantly plays the AI-generated song.
The functions are incredibly diverse. You can use it as a karaoke track at family parties. You can frame it as wall art. It functions as an educational flashcard for students memorizing their state's mineral.
But the 9th and 10th functions of these postcards are perhaps the most economically significant as they relate directly to crafts and marketing. The text explains that local citizens, artisans, and students can create 3D physical crafts representing their state's symbols.
So if your official state animal is a bear, a local artist could carve a highly detailed 3D wooden bear. Or perhaps a student uses manufacture AI to 3D print a complex geometric representation of the state mineral.
Exactly.
They then attach the deca-functional postcard, or just its QR code, directly to the craft. Suddenly, this physical object is linked to the digital anthem.
And the commercialization aspect is explicit. The document envisions these citizen-created, digitally linked heritage crafts being mass-marketed and sold in major retail chains. They specifically name Hobby Lobby as a target distributor.
It effectively spawns an entire cottage industry of localized heritage crafts, economically empowering local artisans while directly linking their physical art to the digital educational festival platform.
This all acts as a massive funnel leading toward the ultimate physical celebration, the Phase B2 in-person festivals. We have millions of citizens learning songs about their local census data, voting for the best singers in their ZIP code, and manufacturing 3D heritage crafts.
Right.
When the actual anniversary arrives, how does the blueprint describe the live event?
Imagine a highly organized event held in the central square or capital of your local county. The report suggests an average duration of 2 to 3 hours. The focus is entirely on local excellence. You have the winning performers from the B1 online phase, the citizens who receive the most community votes performing these historical and census-based songs live on stage. You have local dance troupes performing choreography to AI-generated country songs about the state's founding.
Surrounding the stage, you have physical exhibitions of the 3D crafts we just discussed, with the local artisans present to sell and discuss their work.
Yeah.
The physical space is meticulously decorated, but not just with generic national bunting. It features the specific, highly localized flags and insignia of the state, the county, and the individual city.
Crucially, the festival is not limited to the arts. It is a celebration of the data and the science as well. The document notes that the festivals will feature documentary presentations honoring the local winners of the DocuCensus Games.
The Knowledge Olympics winners.
Yes, the citizens who achieve the highest scores, the people who possess the most accurate statistical knowledge of the local microeconomy, are recognized as community leaders.
And perhaps most significantly, the festival stage is used to announce the winning field researchers from the Biodiversity Project.
The kids from the woods.
The local students who successfully hiked into the county's unpopulated areas use AI to catalog a new species and initiated the patent process for a new biological asset are honored in front of their entire community.
Let's take a step back and look at the emotional and civic weight of what is being proposed here. If you are a citizen attending this festival, how does an event that integrates your local census data, cutting-edge scientific discoveries made by your neighbor's kids, and historical poetry performed by local artists compare to a standard passive fireworks show?
It doesn't compare. They are entirely different species of experience.
Yeah.
A standard fireworks show is a momentary passive distraction. You look up, it flashes, and then you go home unchanged. The DocuPlay Festival is the physical culmination of a community that has spent months actively mapping, understanding, and engineering its own localized future.
It is the difference between simply observing history as a static thing in the past and actively participating in the creation of the future economy and ecology of your specific hometown.
So if we synthesize this incredibly dense blueprint, DocuPlay's vision for the 250th anniversary of the United States is a highly constructive, deeply interconnected web of civic productivity.
It leverages the psychological mechanics of gamification through the DocuLeagues to teach local citizens the exact socioeconomic realities of their specific neighborhoods, priming them to create small businesses.
It utilizes corporate sponsorships through the localized tech alliances to fund this education, while simultaneously creating a highly efficient, data-driven hiring pipeline for local industry.
It harnesses the massive computational power of artificial intelligence through the Edo Industry Project to teach students not just how to read a textbook, but how to write code and physically automate the businesses operating within their ZIP code.
It launches an unprecedented citizen science moonshot through the Biodiversity Project, deploying armies of students into unpopulated areas to catalog, verify, and commercialize the natural world, actively solving a 1,200-year scientific bottleneck.
And it weaves all of this immense productivity together in community-driven, digitally integrated festivals where the history, the hard data, the scientific discoveries, and the art of a specific county are celebrated by the exact people who live there and built it.
Exactly.
I want you to consider your own ZIP code right now. How much do you really know about its underlying machinery? Do you know the exact demographic and income shifts happening on your street right now?
Most people don't.
Have you ever looked at the unpopulated natural areas just outside your town and considered what undiscovered, unpatented species might be living in the soil? Do you even know your state's official mineral off the top of your head?
We have been conditioned to think of history as something firmly locked in the past, and we view anniversaries as simply looking backward in the rearview mirror to honor what others have done. But what if the ultimate way to celebrate the history of a nation is to physically catalog every single living species within its borders? What if the most profound tribute to the past is to use artificial intelligence to meticulously map out the microeconomy of every single ZIP code for the next 250 years? What would a society actually look like if every citizen was not just a consumer, but an active researcher, an innovator, and a highly informed architect of their own backyard?
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep asking questions, keep exploring the hidden statistics and unpopulated areas of your own ZIP code, and we'll see you next time.